Madden holiday is here and we will play all night. Calling sick and sound sincere, in tackles will delight. The fridge is packed with drink and meat, the taste of victory sure is sweet.
Okay, so we're going to start things off on a little bit of a different note this week. As you may recall, I technically started a dynasty mode with Oregon State in College Football 25, and I intended to post more broadcast editions. That's the games the commercial breaks put in. But, you know, kind of ran into a bit of a snag in the sense that, well, one, I just really haven't had the time to work on them, and two, even if I did, I would probably have to upload them to Patreon because Sandstorm by Deruta keeps playing in the background. And no, I'm not playing like South Carolina or anything. It just will randomly play in the background sometimes. And from my previous my previous evidence to uploading that, it will get copyright claimed. So I would probably have, like I said, have to upload it to Patreon to avoid that. I mean, gameplay-wise, I actually managed to take the Beavers to a 10-2 record and an appearance in the First Responder Bowl. That being said, it did get kind of aggravating. I started out playing very well against a lot of pretty decent teams. I even managed to beat Oregon rather handily, but then suddenly it kind of all started falling apart. Like, not just losing games, it was just way too many what I call 50-50s, where I was throwing as many touchdowns as I was interceptions, and it's like, we need you to meet this goal, but then every time I try to meet the stupid goal, it just punishes me more and more and more. It's just kind of aggravating. I mean, it's like, you know, I tried changing QBs, I tried, you know, everything else. It's just, you know, I'm on like my fifth quarterback now in the game, and it's like, I shouldn't be changing quarterbacks this much. It's getting to the point where I don't really want to have to tweak the sliders to make gameplay a little more favorable in my play style, but yeah, I'm starting to think to do that. Like I said, I don't really want to, it's just, I'd want to at least look like I'm succeeding a little bit more. That's all. Anyway, moving back on to the pick'em side of things, thanks to the Arizona Cardinals, I missed out on having a perfect record this week at 5-1. Now, granted, I kind of barely scraped by in the college ranks. I mean, both Notre Dame and Tennessee struggled in their games, but ultimately did win out at the end. Likewise, on the NFL end, the Indianapolis Colts did their best to foil me, even going so far as to start Anthony Richardson when I thought Joe Flacco would be starting. Still, they barely pulled that out at the end. Ultimately, though, it was the Chargers who failed me, which proves that even Jim Harbaugh is apparently not the cure for chargering. As for that game between the Chargers and Cardinals, I really only watched the first 3 quarters and went to bed. I mean, neither of the 2 Monday night games played that weekend were particularly interesting. I mean, I guess in the sense that, you know, Lamar Jackson going off would have been entertaining, but even then, I think I would have been bored and gone to bed early. So I'm just kind of glad I didn't pick like Baltimore and Tampa Bay or Green Bay and Houston to try to pick them on, because I think I would have been way off on those. Moving on to the games we're covering this week, we have got Louisville versus Boston College, Texas Tech versus TCU, and Kent State versus Western Michigan. Then on the NFL side, we have Minnesota taking on the Los Angeles Rams, the New York Jets taking on New England, and Detroit taking on Tennessee. All right, let's get to things here.
Mystic places, psychic phenomena, unnatural experiences, all sources of fascination and speculation. Now read Mystic Places, the book that helps unlock the secrets of the ages. What are the signs of a lost land reappearing? Was this an ancient spaceship runway used by aliens? Read Mystic Places, free for 10 days. Keep it for $12.99. Other volumes will follow from Mysteries of the Unknown, the Time Life series that sold over 2 million books.
The scariest thing about Halloween is that everyone is beginning to look a lot alike. That's why we created the Boo Bazaar at Hallmark. We have an amazing array of awesome accessories, lapel pins, and clip-ons. Plus our exclusive Baby Boo and Boo Junior lines for kids. So this year, be an original. Scare up your costume at Hallmark's Boo Bazaar, because there's nothing more frightening than the same old thing.
Hello, I'm Basil Flimley. You know, we're lucky to live in a city like this, where we can get close to nature and discover what life's all about. Nice to see those new values emerging in the automobile industry, too. This year, a great many model changes show a new concern with light. In some cases, about the only outside changes you'll notice are things like this. It's an impact-absorbing bumper guard. This one's off a 73 Dodge. It's thicker and heavier to protect you and your car from bumps. At Plumley 4th Avenue, we'll be happy to tell you about all the other important changes in this year's Chryslers and Dodges. Some of them could be lifesavers.
Plumley Chrysler Dodge, where extra care makes the difference in every way. 2200 block West 4th Avenue.
Our first game is the Louisville Cardinals taking on the Boston College Eagles, and the ACC certainly has been pretty unpredictable this year. Yes, you do have Miami and Clemson dueling at the top, but then you've got 4 or 5 other teams that could easily sneak their way into this thing, and possibly be in the ACC championship game or even the college football playoff. Now, at one point, you could argue that Louisville and Boston College were amongst those 4 to 5 teams, but they've kind of fallen back to the pack and struggled in recent weeks. The Cardinals themselves put up a very good fight against the Hurricanes, but ultimately faded towards the end. Louisville's offense, led by quarterback Tyler Shock and wide receiver Ja'Cory Brooks, has definitely put up a lot of high-scoring numbers. Unfortunately, I think they tend to score just a tiny bit too quickly, and that's led to their defense being really overworked. Their defense was actually really good last year and actually carried them throughout much of the season, but it's fallen back to the pack, and now they're kind of getting outscored. Likewise, where Boston College also looked like maybe a darling team this season, it's kind of fallen off as they've lost back-to-back games to the Virginia schools in the ACC. Their defense is struggling and is really going to need to step up to kind of compete with the high-powered Cardinals offense, so yeah, they could be in a load of trouble. They might have home field advantage, but I think in the end, Louisville is just too talented and are going to overwhelm BC. I'm predicting the Cardinals are going to win this one rather handily.
Evil stalks you once again in Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse for Nintendo. But you possess the gift of transformation and become the vengeful ancient ghost pirate, or the son of Dracula who defies his father's fiends, or the mystic warlord with a cloak of magical powers. It's never the same adventure in the 17 worlds of terror of Dracula's Curse. Enter the Dracula's Curse sweepstakes today.
Like so many American chocolate lovers, I was relieved to hear about Hershey's new Bar None. Its unique combination of chocolate wafers, chocolate cream, peanuts, and pure milk chocolate make Bar None the supreme chocolate extravaganza. Bar None, but will it satisfy the chocolate beast lurking in us all?
Its origin, alien. Location, Antarctica. Age, unknown. Intent, survival. Destination, man. John Carpenter's The Thing, the ultimate in alien terror. Rated R. Starts Friday at a theater near you. Check newspapers for local listings.
Our next matchup sees the Texas Tech Red Raiders take on the Horned Frogs of TCU, and yes, I know, I got this backwards. The game is in Fort Worth, not Lubbock. Now, Tech is coming off a very humiliating loss to Baylor. That saw them enter that game with 5 wins and 1 loss, with an outside chance to make the Big 12 championship game and thus have an outside shot at the college football playoff. Only for them to now be blown out and have them fall all the way back to the pack. Now, the Red Raiders, as usual, have a very high-powered offense led by quarterback Beerhan Morton and wide receivers Josh Kelly, Caleb Brooks, and running back Taj Brooks. That being said, their defense must step up again if they're going to overcome that thrashing by Baylor. Now, when we last covered TCU, they, of course, wound up losing to the University of Houston. However, they managed to rebound from that with a nice victory over Utah, completely spoiling the Utes' hopes for a Big 12 title and college football playoff appearance. So, yeah, we've already kind of talked about the TCU offense a little bit before. Quarterback Josh Hoover, running back Cam Brooks. So, again, I do think it's going to fall upon the Horned Frogs defense to keep the Tech offense in check. But in the end, I think the Red Raiders offense is just too powerful. I'm guessing Texas Tech wins this one in a shootout.
Stretch, logo, color change. And for some real creepy detailing, Goop FX, please.
With more goops to choose from, Master Kenneth has perfected the art of bugging people. Father found the results shockingly realistic. Mother's patience was stretched to her limits. The maid had only glowing things to say.
Hey, who?
The butler did it. There's a goop for every occasion.
Creepy crawler summons molds and goops sold separately. Pairs put together, light bulb and mansion not included.
My grandma taught me to make real sweet butter. She had to help me work the churn. Said the harder the work, the better the butter. And that sweet butter was so good, I can still taste it. Mmm. Tastes like turnstile.
Like fresh churned sweet butter, but with less fat and no cholesterol. Country Crock Churn Style, the taste of sweet butter from the farm.
This week, trapped by a raging fire.
What would you do if you only had 5 minutes left?
I'd indulge myself.
Will they go out in a blaze of glory? Santa Barbara this week.
Our final college game sees the Golden Flashes of Kent State taking on the Broncos of Western Michigan, and yes, we're covering a team in Kent State that has not won a game all year. Now, I will say this, the Golden Flashes did put up very good offensive numbers in their previous game against also terrible Ball State, but still wound up losing in the end, and yeah, there's maybe some crash jokes to be made here, but I'm going to take the high road and try to avoid those. And what has to be provided as least comforting for the Golden Flashes is the fact that they are taking on arguably the best team in the MAC this season in Western Michigan. Speaking of the Western Michigan Broncos, they are undefeated in the MAC Conference with a 4-3 record overall. They are coming off a very close victory over Buffalo in what has to be considered a MAC championship game preview. Western Michigan has a very high-powered offense led by quarterback Hayden Wolf, running backs Jaden Nixon and Jalen Buckley, and tight end Blake Bosma. That being said, I think their defense is more middle of the pack, so again, if the Golden Flashes can get hot at just the right times, they could make this close, but right now, the Broncos are hot, and the Golden Flashes are most certainly not. So yeah, I'm going to pick Western Michigan to win this one big, and for Terry Crews to be very happy.
Just get me loose!
A constrictor knot with a midshipman's hitch.
What? Hurry!
It's the problem. Everybody's rushing. Wow, that's a constrictor knot with a midshipman's hitch.
There's just no stopping a frost-brewed Coors Light.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've devised a torture test between your lighter and my Ronson Comet. Put your thumb on the side of your lighter. Squeeze the light out of it. The Ronson Comet can. Find a dangerous, windy place and see if your flame will blow out. The Ronson Comet won't. Now, twist its neck and see if your lighter carries 2 spare flints and a replaceable spark. The Ronson Comet does. Carefully turn out the lights and adjust your flame to cigarette, cigar, and pipe. Now try to inject your lighter with life-giving butane. 1 gulp from the Ronson multi-pill and the Comet can light for months. If your lighter can't do half the things the Ronson Comet can, get one and have your own torture test.
First, you rip it open. Let the ketchup run, blood red. Then you pour a bone-chilling glass of Grain Belt beer. You've created your own Frankenstein.
I'm sorry, Bill, but I'm leaving, and nothing you say can stop me. Do you hear me? Nothing.
America's going bats over the Addams Family, and they are now in a theater near you. Rated PG-13.
Moving on to the NFL side of things, we open up with the Thursday night game between the Minnesota Vikings and the Los Angeles Rams. And yeah, the Vikings lost their undefeated season last week against the Lions, which means Deathmate is reborn and thus is our new god now. All hail Deathmate. All hail Deathmate. All hail Deathmate. Now, the Vikings offense is still playing exceedingly well. However, they're starting to get really banged up at the running back position. I mean, Aaron Jones can't do everything, as evidenced by the last few weeks. And added to that, you can't put it all the weight on Sam Darnold's shoulders, as evidenced by the 2 interceptions he threw last week. Added to that, it seems that people have now found a weakness in the Vikings defense, that they seem to be very susceptible to smaller, quicker running backs. I mean, powerhouse running back like David Montgomery struggled against them, even almost fumbling away the game, but then Jahmyr Gibbs came in and just ran all the way through the Vikings defense, even getting a long touchdown run and making several key plays on the game-winning drive. Now, the Rams, on the other hand, have been absolutely decimated by injuries. The injury bug really did bite them hard. Obviously, the big one is Puka Nacua, although he was just taken off for injured reserve, but I can't say I know his availability for a game, especially on a short rest. And Cooper Kupp is still out, though there's now talk of him being traded. I don't know who would be trading for an injured player at this point, but I guess that's how this goes. And yeah, they did win over the Raiders, but that's not saying much. Still, this does have kind of the makings of another trap game here. If the Rams can get things together again, they could be a real threat to the Vikings, but I think the short rest isn't going to really help either team. I think this is going to be a very close game, but I think the Vikings do ultimately pull this one out. They're just a little more talented and a little bit more healthy than the Rams are at this point. So yeah, I think the Vikings will barely scrape by and win this one.
10 seriously beautiful reasons to get to Mervyn's Fall Fashion Sale. Sale, a small word with huge benefits. Dresses, blouses, shoes. Every piece you see is under $40. The pants, they go with the shoes, they go with the top. Your wardrobe needs a refresher course in jackets. Hey, Mervyn's, a fashion do. Department store prices, a definite don't. And number 10, you have nothing to wear, remember? So get into Mervyn's Fall Fashion Sale now.
I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting all day. When I'm through with you, you're gonna be history, man. I'm gonna eat you up. And you know what? I'm gonna enjoy it.
Nothing takes care of a mean appetite like the tender chunks of chicken and rich egg noodles in Campbell's Chunky Chicken Nugget Soup.
I'm gonna eat you up.
Campbell's Chunky, it takes care of the meanest appetites.
The murder.
We saw somebody get killed.
The mystery.
It was covered up like it never happened.
The man.
Mr. Matlock?
The movie.
I was going after the truth.
Their only crime was being a witness.
2 of my friends are dead.
Their only prayer is Matlock.
You're the real killer, aren't you?
All new Matlock, all new night. The Witness Killings, NBC Friday.
She wants to talk about commitment.
Dickie's girlfriend wants it.
And that cop, he's at your apartment more than I am.
So does Tess.
I'm on call. 24 hours a day.
Now there's someone new.
It must be mating season.
Mark Harmon, Reasonable Doubts, NBC Friday.
See you around sometime, Dickie.
Our second game sees the New York Jets taking on the New England Patriots, and a lot's changed since we covered the Jets last time. All the way back in week 1, obviously, they fired their coach and replaced their offensive coordinator, though didn't fire him, they just got a different play caller in. And you know, the offense actually has been playing better to a point. Unfortunately, now it looks like the defense is falling apart in several positions. as evidenced by their game against the Steelers last week on Sunday Night Football. And granted, they didn't exactly play that much better against the Bills, but it was at least a little bit closer last time. Then again, the Patriots really stink, so they have at least that going for them. I mean, Drake May has been playing better, but even their coach, Gerard Mayo, is calling the team soft at this point. So, yeah, the Jets win, everyone else loses, and thus by extension the Jets also lose. Yeah, I'm picking the Jets.
Hi, I'm Bob McGrath, and I'm here to help these kids trick-or-treat for UNICEF. Want me to tell about how UNICEF provides basic health services and emergency aid for children in 119 countries?
No, we'll do that.
So, what do you want me to do?
Ring the doorbell. We can't reach it.
Oh.
Trick-or-treat for UNICEF.
For more information, call 1-800-FOR-KIDS.
Please, I'm on my way to Grandma's. Hey, how about some low-fat cottage cheese? Maybe a Diet Cola? Well, I was saving this for myself, but...
Hold out for the out of the ordinary, sugar-free Dr. Pepper.
Mama warned me about wolves.
Hold out.
December 9th, an unforgettable world movie premiere. The story of a young girl's quest for independence from her deaf parents.
You can't protect them forever.
She's torn between being their voice to the hearing world and fulfilling her dreams.
I've spent my lifetime listening to the world for you.
Mayor Winningham, Sid Caesar, and Cloris Leachman in Love is Never Silent.
Our final matchup sees the Detroit Lions taking on the Tennessee Titans, and with this game, I have officially covered every team in the NFL. And yeah, it was hard to really get a Titans game just kind of because of the way the schedule lined up. There would be maybe one interesting game, but then it turned out I had covered that team the previous week, so I couldn't cover them again until I had at least covered every team once. So yeah, that's kind of how they got all the way pushed back, and it has helped that, well, the Titans really, really stink. I do think Mason Rudolph has been a better quarterback than Will Levis at this point, and that he doesn't throw stupid interceptions, he just throws reasonably decent interceptions. Now the Lions, on the other hand, despite are still playing really well, even with the injury to Aiden Hutchinson knocking him off for the entire season. Yeah, I know there's still an outside chance he can make the Super Bowl, but the Lions would have to make it to the Super Bowl for that to happen. Not saying they won't, I'm just saying they have to do that for that to happen. But yeah, the offense might be a little turnover prone, but let's face it, I do think the Lions are going to win this game really big. I mean, not really much else to say. So yeah, we had a nice short week here, and we'll be back to wrap things up soon.
John Lennon, Yoko Ono. The story we never knew. John and Yoko. Monday. Wednesday on Highway to Heaven.
I am not a monster!
Can Jonathan help love open a town's eyes? Then when Helltown throws a wedding.
Hallelujah!
Art Step shoots the works. And on St. Elsewhere, Bob sizes up a new conquest.
Show me yours first, Caldwell.
Is he more show than go? Wednesday.
Our count eats a Reese's peanut butter cup.
I like to eat the peanut butter first.
There's no wrong way to eat a Reese's.
Okay, so to wrap things up, I like Louisville over Boston College, Texas Tech over TCU, and Western Michigan over Kent State. Then on the NFL side, I like Minnesota over the Los Angeles Rams, the New York Jets over the New England Patriots, and Detroit over Tennessee. Okay, so our next video will be the next week's predictions video. In that video, we're going to be covering San Diego State versus Boise State, Oregon versus Michigan, and Florida versus Georgia. And then on the NFL side, we'll have the LA Chargers taking on the Cleveland Browns, the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. Also in that video, there's going to be a special portion where we'll be announcing the non-college football playoff bowl games we'll be covering. And I'll get a little bit more into how I intend to cover the college football postseason. It's going to be a little bit different, and there's going to be like some NFL-only videos too, so I'll try to get more into that when we get there. The next video after that is going to be the random trade review on Ben Reilly's Spider-Man, and then it's the next prediction video after that, where we'll be covering Rice versus Memphis, Georgia Tech versus Miami of Florida, and Florida State versus Notre Dame. And then on the NFL side, we'll have Buffalo versus Indianapolis, Philadelphia versus Dallas, and Detroit versus Houston. Okay, see you all next time. Hey guys, remember that you can support my work at patreon.com/sleepytimeforcat productions. Also, remember to like, comment, share, subscribe to my channel, and ring that notification bell so that way you can be alerted to further videos.